2 drops. That is all. Not 2 pills. Not 2 injections. Not 2 expensive clinic visits. 2 drops of something you can find for under $15, rubbed into one specific spot on your body, every single night before you sleep. And I want to be honest with you from the very beginning. I am not here to sell you a fantasy. I am a urologist. I have spent over 20 years sitting across from men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Men who walked into my office looking defeated. Men who had quietly stopped believing their bodies could respond the way they once did. And what those 20 years have taught me is this. The men who recovered were almost never the ones who found the most expensive solution. They were the ones who found the right solution. The one that worked with their biology instead of against it. Tonight I am going to show you exactly what that looks like. 2 drops. 1 spot. 1 specific time of night. And the reason the timing matters is something I have never seen explained properly in any video on this subject. And once you understand it, everything else is going to make complete sense. Stay with me through this entire video, because what I share in the next few minutes is the piece that changes everything for men who have already tried things and felt disappointed. My name is Dr. Mei Anderson. I am a urologist specializing exclusively in senior men's sexual and urological health, and this is Vital Health Seniors. And if you are watching this, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Before I go any further, I want to ask you something personal, and I want you to answer in the comments right now because I genuinely read every single one. Are you watching this because things have already slowed down for you, or because you want to stay ahead of it? Type slowed if things have already changed. Type staying ahead if you are being proactive. There is no wrong answer. Both groups belong here. Drop it below right now while the video keeps playing. Now let me tell you the thing that most doctors skip over completely, because understanding this is what separates men who try something for 4 days and give up from men who stay consistent and wake up genuinely surprised at what comes back. Your body is already trying to restore itself every single night. This is not motivational language. This is physiology. Between approximately 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your body enters what researchers call the nocturnal testosterone surge, a natural hormonal peak that happens during deep sleep. Alongside this, your body initiates something called nocturnal penile tumescence. Most men know this informally as morning erections. What most men do not know is that those morning erections are not random. They are not accidental. They are your body's natural maintenance cycle, the mechanism your vascular and nervous system uses to keep erectile tissue oxygenated, elastic, and functional. When you are in your 30s, this cycle runs on its own without any help. The vessels open, fresh blood floods the tissue, oxygen is delivered, and everything stays healthy and responsive. When you are in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, that cycle weakens. Not because your body has given up, but because the pathways it travels have become compromised. Vessels stiffen. Nerves quiet. The deep state of relaxation your body needs to allow full vascular opening becomes shorter and shallower as inflammation, stress, and years of tension accumulate in the pelvic region. Here is the key that changes everything. Most men who try pills take them in the afternoon or early evening. They get a temporary response, if they are lucky. But by 3 a.m., when the nocturnal restoration window opens, the pill is completely gone from their system. The body is trying to run its maintenance cycle, and there is nothing there to support it. What I am going to show you tonight does something completely different. When you apply the right combination of 2 specific oils to the right location immediately before sleep, you are creating a therapeutic environment in the pelvic tissue that lasts 6 to 8 hours. You are present and active during the nocturnal window. You are speaking to the body at exactly the moment it is trying to listen. That is why this works at 75. Not because it is stronger than a pill, because it works with the timing your biology has always used. Now let me explain what has actually happened to your body, because most men blame themselves, blame their age, or accept a vague explanation about testosterone dropping and assume there is nothing to be done. The real picture is more specific than that, and more solvable. In over 20 years of practice, I have identified what I call the triple compression effect, 3 simultaneous failures that converge in the pelvic region and collectively produce every symptom men over 50 experience. weakening erections, reduced size during arousal, loss of sensation, lower energy, diminished confidence. All three are connected. All three originate in the same anatomical area. And all three respond to the same targeted approach. The first is vascular. The internal pudendal artery is the primary blood supply to erectile tissue. It runs deep through the pelvis. Over years of sedentary behavior, chronic low-grade inflammation, and dietary damage to the inner lining of the vessel walls, this artery and its branches stiffen and narrow. The result is not that blood cannot get there. It is that blood cannot get there fast enough or in sufficient volume. An erection requires pressure and volume arriving rapidly on demand. When vessels cannot dilate fully and quickly, the response is partial, slow, or inconsistent. And here is something most men never hear. Reduced vascular filling also directly affects size during arousal. The tissue cannot expand to its full capacity because blood volume is insufficient. What men interpret as permanent size loss is frequently vascular insufficiency. Restore the flow, restore the filling. The second is muscular. The pelvic floor muscles, specifically the bulbocavernosus and ischiocavernosus, are the mechanical engines of erection and ejaculatory force. Their job is to compress the veins at the base of the penis during arousal, trapping blood inside and maintaining firmness. Without that compression, blood leaks back out and an erection cannot be sustained. Decades of sitting, stress, and disuse cause these muscles to exist in a state of chronic partial clenching. Constantly tense, but functionally weak. Like a fist held halfway closed for 20 years. It has tension but no real strength. No snap. No coordinated power. The third is neural. The pudendal nerve is the primary highway of sensation and arousal signaling between the pelvic region and the brain. It runs directly through the muscular structures of the pelvic floor. When those muscles are chronically tight and inflamed, the nerve is compressed, subtly, constantly, year after year. The result is what I call neural dimming. The first symptom is almost always a quiet reduction in sensation. Things feel less electric than they once did. Men notice this years before erection problems begin. The brain is sending the signal. The nerve is too compressed to carry it clearly. Think of a phone cable that is bent at the port. Power is available. The cable is connected. But the charge is slow and incomplete. All three compressions happen simultaneously. And critically, all three are addressed at the same time, in the same 90 seconds, by the protocol I am about to show you. Before I reveal the 2 drops, the exact spot, and the complete protocol, I want to ask you to do one thing right now. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Every week on this channel I bring senior men the information their regular doctors do not have time to explain. Practical, honest, natural approaches to sexual health, energy, and vitality that respect your age and your dignity. If that is what you are here for, you belong here. Subscribe now, because what I am about to share is only the beginning of what this channel has for you. Now the 2 drops. And let me first explain why most men who have tried oils before felt nothing, because it almost certainly was not their body's fault. Most men apply oil to the shaft or surrounding skin. This is anatomically ineffective. The shaft has a thick facial layer that limits transdermal penetration of active compounds. You are applying expensive oil to the surface and wondering why nothing changes beneath it. The correct location, which I will show you, has the thinnest skin barrier of any external site in the male pelvic region. Absorption there is not just better. It is categorically different. Most men also use a single oil. One oil does one thing. And without the right breathing preparation beforehand, the nervous system remains in a state of tension that keeps vessels partially constricted and pelvic muscles partially clenched, limiting what any oil can accomplish regardless of its quality. And almost every man applies oil at the wrong time of day. Morning or afternoon application misses the nocturnal window entirely. The tissue has not entered the parasympathetic rest state. The effect fades hours before the body's natural restoration cycle even begins. The first of the 2 drops is cold-pressed, unrefined black seed oil, Nigella sativa. Black seed oil has been used in traditional medicine, particularly across Middle Eastern and South Asian healing traditions, for thousands of years specifically for male vitality. Modern research has begun explaining why. The primary active compound is thymoquinone, which has been associated with support for nitric oxide production, the same chemical signal that tells blood vessels to dilate and allow blood to flow freely. This is the same biological pathway that prescription medications target, except thymoquinone works through an anti-inflammatory mechanism rather than a pharmacological override. Black seed oil also contains high concentrations of essential fatty acids that support the structural flexibility of vessel walls. Stiff vessels cannot dilate fully. These compounds work to restore the elasticity that allows complete vascular opening in response to arousal. Applied topically to the right location, black seed oil penetrates the facial layer, reduces localized inflammation around the pudendal nerve, and supports the responsiveness of the vascular tissue beneath. In this protocol, it opens the pathway. The second drop is organic, cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil. Castor oil contains over 80% ricinoleic acid, a fatty acid found in virtually no other natural substance. Ricinoleic acid binds to prostaglandin receptors in smooth muscle tissue. Smooth muscle is the tissue type that lines your blood vessels and the internal structures of erectile tissue. When these receptors are activated, smooth muscle relaxes. And an erection at its mechanical core requires smooth muscle relaxation. The helicin arteries that deliver blood to erectile bodies must relax and open. The trabecular smooth muscle within erectile tissue itself must relax and allow filling. Castor oil applied externally to the right location creates a localized smooth muscle relaxation effect that lasts for hours, which is precisely why it must be applied before sleep. It is still working at 3 a.m. when your nocturnal cycle begins. It also generates gentle sustained warmth in the tissue, increasing local circulation and keeping the area receptive throughout the night. In this protocol, it keeps the pathway open while you sleep. Together, these two oils do something that neither accomplishes alone. Black seed oil opens the vascular and facial pathway. Castor oil sustains smooth muscle relaxation and warmth through the nocturnal window. Black seed oil reduces the inflammation compressing the pudendal nerve. Castor oil relaxes the muscular tension physically squeezing it. Black seed oil supports the nitric oxide signal that initiates vessel dilation. Castor oil maintains the tissue state that allows full vascular filling once the signal arrives. Used alone, each does something meaningful. Used together, in the right ratio, in the right location at the right time, they create a 6 to 8 hour therapeutic environment in exactly the tissue your body is trying to restore every single night. The ratio is simple. 1 drop of black seed oil to 1 drop of castor oil. Warm them together between your palms for 15 seconds before application. Never apply cold oil to sensitive tissue. Now the location. Your perineum, specifically the anterior portion. The section of soft tissue directly behind the base of your scrotum. This is not an arbitrary choice. The perineal skin at this location is the thinnest external skin in the male pelvic region. Transdermal absorption here is dramatically superior to anywhere else you could apply oil externally. Directly beneath this skin lies the bulbocavernosus muscle, the primary mechanical pump of erection and ejaculatory force. Just below that, the internal pudendal artery branches into the deep artery of the penis, the main blood supply to erectile tissue. Running through this same region are branches of the pudendal nerve, the primary sensory highway of male sexual function. Blood supply, muscle function, nerve signaling. All three converge at this single external point. When you apply 2 drops here before bed, you are not applying oil to skin. You are delivering a sustained therapeutic treatment to the anatomical control center of male sexual function. Here is the complete protocol. 90 seconds. Every night before bed. The order matters as much as the ingredients. Begin by lying on your back with knees bent and feet flat. Take 3 complete breaths before you touch the oil. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale through your mouth for 6. On every exhale, consciously allow your pelvic floor to soften and drop. Not forced down, simply released. This 30 seconds is not optional. It shifts your autonomic nervous system from sympathetic tension, where vessels are partially constricted and muscles are partially clenched, into the parasympathetic state. The only state in which vessels can fully open and tissue can fully receive what you are about to apply. Oil without this preparation is like opening a tap when the pipes are still clenched. Once your breath is slow and your pelvic floor has softened, place 1 drop of black seed oil and 1 drop of castor oil on your fingertips and warm them together between your palms for 15 seconds. Then place your index and middle fingers on the anterior perineum, the soft tissue directly behind the base of your scrotum, and press gently until you feel the slight firmness of the muscle beneath the skin. Apply the warmed blend with light strokes, covering an area roughly the size of a coin, using moderate, steady pressure, firm enough to feel the muscle beneath but never sharp, never painful. Begin small, slow circular movements. Clockwise for 15 seconds. Then counterclockwise for 15 seconds. Keep your breath slow throughout. On every exhale, return your awareness to the pelvic floor and allow it to soften further. Then switch to a press and hold. Apply firm pressure to the center of the area and hold for a count of 5. Release completely for a count of 5. Repeat twice. This sustained pressure reaches trigger points, localized knots of tension in the bulbocavernosus and surrounding fascia, and creates a pumping action that encourages blood movement through the local vascular network. To close, take 1 final deep breath. Inhale for 4 counts. Exhale completely for 8. On the exhale, add a very gentle lift of the pelvic floor, as if lightly stopping the flow of urine. Hold 2 counts, then release fully. This final sequence retrains the coordinated relax and engage pattern these muscles need during arousal. Then place a comfortably warm damp cloth over the perineum as you settle into sleep. The sustained warmth extends the vasodilatory effect, supports deeper absorption, and keeps the smooth muscle in a receptive state. Sleep on your left side if possible. Left side sleeping reduces compression on the inferior vena cava, improving blood return from the lower body, and supporting pelvic circulation through the entire nocturnal window. Now I want to show you something that separates men who get moderate results from men who contact me genuinely astonished. The oil protocol is the foundation, but when you layer specific daily habits on top of it, each one multiplies the effect of the others. No sugar after 7 p.m. Dietary sugar causes glycation, a process that attaches sugar molecules to the proteins in vessel walls and makes them rigid and unresponsive. Even one sugary snack in the evening counteracts hours of vascular preparation. Remove it, and your vessels enter the nocturnal window in a more flexible and receptive state. Drink consistently through the day and reduce fluids in the final 2 hours before bed. Proper hydration keeps blood viscosity low. Thinner blood moves through smaller vessels more easily and creates more complete filling of erectile tissue. Arrive at bedtime well hydrated, and your system has what it needs to run the nocturnal cycle fully. 5 minutes of morning sunlight on your lower abdomen. Vitamin D receptors in the testosterone-producing cells of the testes are directly activated by UV exposure to nearby skin. 5 minutes each morning costs nothing and supports the hormonal signaling environment your protocol is working within. Before your evening protocol, hold a low lunge position for 45 seconds on each side, one knee on the floor, opposite foot forward. Tight hip flexors pull the anterior pelvic floor into chronic tension, directly countering what the massage is trying to release. Releasing them first means the oil reaches deeper tissue with less resistance. And a 20-minute walk after dinner. Post-meal walking activates the venous pump in the legs, reducing the circulatory stagnation that builds during the day and improving blood return from the lower body overnight. Men who add this single habit consistently report stronger nocturnal and morning responses within 2 weeks. Layered together, the walk improves circulation, no evening sugar keeps vessels flexible, daytime hydration thins the blood, the hip flexor release removes muscular resistance, the breath work shifts the nervous system, the oil addresses the tissue directly, the warm cloth extends the effect, left side sleep protects venous return. And the nocturnal window does the restoration work it was always designed to do, now with everything it needs to complete it fully. I want to ask you one more question, and I want your answer in the comments. Of everything you have heard so far, which part surprised you most? The timing science? The oil synergy? The sunlight tip? The hip flexors? Drop it below. Your response shapes the next video. And it tells the man watching this alone at midnight, quietly wondering if he is the only one dealing with this, that he is not. He is not alone. And your comment is proof of that. Let me tell you about a man named Robert. He was 73 years old when he came to my clinic. Married for 41 years. He did not come in asking about erections. He came in asking about fatigue, tired constantly, sleeping poorly, feeling what he described as disconnected from himself. His wife had come with him and sat quietly in the corner. When I asked more specific questions, he looked at the floor and said, "And I remember this exactly. Doctor, I gave up on that part of life a long time ago. I just want to feel like a man again." His wife reached across and took his hand without saying anything. I taught him this protocol. I did not oversell it. I told him what I am telling you. That his body was not broken, that the nocturnal window was still there, that the tissue was still capable of responding if given the right inputs. I told him to be patient, that his body had not abandoned him. It had been waiting. He came back 4 weeks later and walked indifferently. His posture had changed. He sat forward in the chair. He said, "The first week, just warmth. I thought I was imagining it. The second week, I woke up one morning and there was something there. Not much, but something. I had not felt that in 6 years. I got out of bed and stood at the window and I cried. Not from sadness. From something I do not have a word for." By week 4, morning responses had returned consistently. His sleep had improved significantly. The lower back pain he had managed for years had reduced dramatically. Because the same pelvic floor release that restored erectile function had released the tension pulling on his lumbar spine. But what he said next is what I have never forgotten. The erection coming back, that was wonderful. But it was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that I stopped feeling like my body was my enemy. I stopped waking up every morning feeling like a man whose time had already passed. That changed how I talked to my wife, how I carried myself, how I looked in the mirror. His wife, who had sat quietly through the entire appointment, looked at me and said, "Thank you for giving him back to himself." Robert is not the exception. He is representative of what happens when men stop accepting a false story about what aging means and start giving their bodies the specific inputs they have been missing. Let me be honest with you about what to expect. Because unrealistic expectations cause men to quit before results arrive. And quitting at day 6 means never discovering what day 21 would have brought. In the first 3 to 4 nights, most men report warmth in the pelvic region during and after application, and noticeably deeper sleep onset. These are not dramatic. They are significant. They are the tissue beginning to respond. Between days 5 and 10, many men notice the first signs of returning morning sensitivity. A faint pulse, partial tumescence, a warmth that was not there before. For some men, this is the first sign of this in years. Do not dismiss it as coincidence. It is the nocturnal window beginning to function again. In weeks 2 and 3, firmer and more consistent morning erections appear in most men who have remained consistent. Increased sensation during intimacy. Reports of fuller arousal response. More complete vascular filling. Many men also notice during this window that lower back tension, hip tightness, and urinary urgency begin to ease, because these symptoms share the same root in pelvic floor dysfunction that the protocol is addressing. By weeks 4 through 6, the majority of men report a clear restoration of baseline function. Responses are firmer, more reliable, faster, and sustained longer. The spontaneous morning response, the clearest indicator of nocturnal restoration, is present consistently. By week 8, what was regained stabilizes as a new baseline. The body has re-established its nocturnal maintenance cycle. Some men see initial results in 5 days. Some take 3 weeks. Both are completely normal. The men who do not see results are almost always the men who stopped at day 8. Consistency is the mechanism. The protocol is the key, but only consistency turns it. One final thing I must say clearly, because I am a doctor and honesty is the foundation of everything I offer you. Do not apply this protocol if you have active skin inflammation, open wounds, or active hemorrhoids in the perineal area. If you have a diagnosed prostate condition, prostatitis, prostate cancer, or have had prostate surgery, speak with your urologist before beginning. If you take blood thinners or have a bleeding disorder, consult your physician first. And if you have severe dysfunction that has developed rapidly, cardiovascular disease, or uncontrolled diabetes, please see your doctor. This protocol complements proper medical care. It does not replace it. I say this not to discourage you, but because a protocol offered honestly is one you can trust. And I want you to trust this. Gentlemen, 2 drops. The right location. The right time. A set of daily habits that multiply the effect. Your body is not broken. It is not finished. It has not abandoned you. What has happened over decades is that specific, identifiable, addressable failures have accumulated in the pelvic region. And the nocturnal restoration cycle that your body has faithfully run every single night, it is still there. It has simply been running without the support it needs to complete its work. Robert woke up at 73 and stood at a window and felt something return that he had stopped believing in. He is not the exception. He is what happens when a man stops accepting a false ceiling and starts giving his body what it actually needs. Tonight before you sleep, try this. Follow the sequence. 90 seconds. And pay attention in the morning. Not because I am promising transformation overnight, but because the first morning that something stirs, something you had quietly accepted as gone, I want you to remember this moment and the decision you made to try. If this video gave you something real, a new understanding, a sense of genuine hope, a step you can take tonight, please hit the like button right now. That single tap tells YouTube this information matters, and puts it in front of the next man who is sitting alone wondering if there is any answer left for him. Subscribe to Vital Health Seniors and turn on the notification bell. Next week I am covering the one mineral deficiency that directly determines erectile tissue responsiveness. And over 70% of men over 60 are clinically low in it. That is next week. You do not want to miss it. And drop a comment. Are you starting tonight? What surprised you most in this video? What has been your biggest frustration in trying to find answers? I read every single comment. Because this is not just a channel. It is a community of men who have decided that dignity, vitality, and confidence do not belong only to the young. They belong to any man willing to show up for himself. Show up tonight. Your body is ready. I am Dr. Mei Anderson. I will see you in the next video.